What if I told you the thing holding you back was actually the thing that could accelerate you? I used to believe that failure was me falling behind, me not getting things done, me letting everybody down. But truthfully, those 189 days of struggle that I had is what literally set me up for 7 days of success. Now, here's the thing. I don't run from failure. Me personally, I don't run from failure. Here's the reason why. I use it. And because of that, I've made faster money, deeper impact, and finally walking in my purpose and who I'm called to be. And if this hits you and you know God called you to build something, but you've been stuck in second guessing, perfectionism, or just not knowing where to go or to start, I created a free identity to influence masterclass to help you break that cycle. Inside, I show you how to uncover your unique value, shift your story, and finally take action in a way that feels real, authentic, and genuine. And it actually gets you results. Just hit the link in my bio and join today. So, just a little backstory for you. Between July and January, I did everything that I thought I was supposed to do, everything that I knew possible. And what I've learned, I showed up, I posted, I built things, I built systems, I served people, and it felt like I was still going in circles over and over and over again until one day I heard the phrase, if all work works. And then a revelation came to me. If all work works, then failure isn't failure, it's feedback. And that one mindset shift changed everything for me. And I do mean everything. So, what do you think when you actually run into failures? What does that actually look like for you? Do you beat yourself down? Do you say that you can't start, you can't finish because this obstacle has stumped you? Let's be honest. Everybody is going to have an obstacle, but the difference between those who actually make it, those who are great from those who are mediocre and just basic is what do you do when that obstacle comes? When you learn how to overcome the obstacle, you you turn into me where my failure it helped me turn 189 days of struggle into 1 week of success and breakthrough. And here's how. So for me, there were three lessons that I got out of this whole mindset shift. Number one, it read so redefine what failure actually means for you. When you redefine what failure is, you start looking at situations different. You start looking at how life operates differently because you won't go from being just a normal person. You're going to go from normal and transition into great because a lot of people don't want to overcome the obstacle that's sitting in front of them. They just want to complain and talk about it to the point where they don't take action. Most of us label failure as proof that we're not good enough. But what if it's just proof that God's still refining you? Everybody wants to be a diamond, but don't nobody want to go through the fire to become that same diamond. Because in order to make a diamond, you have to go through refinement, you have to go through pressure, you have to go through the heat. So failure is not failure for you. I stopped calling failure and started calling it feedback. Feedback from the market, feedback from the moment, feedback from the master. So when you go through things in your business and in your life, look at it as feedback on how you can improve next, how you can add a level of becoming to yourself so that way you can be ready for the success and all the things that are to come. Because here's the thing, if you're wanting to be wealthy and you want to have riches and all those things, you have first become a person that can actually obtain and manage that same wealth. Because God isn't going to give you wealth and just for you to squander it. He's not going to give you influence just so you can misrepresent him, right? So when you go through many obstacles, when you go through all these things, failure is just feedback that you are still in the growing process. When I made that shift from why didn't this work? How couldn't this work? Oh, to what is this teaching me? I started growing faster. That's when my money started growing faster because I turned from being a complainer to being someone who can actually complete the job. I figured out why isn't this working for me and what is this teaching me? So that way I can learn the lesson in that space. And so that leads me to the second lesson for today. Extract the lesson immediately. After every flop, after every quiet post, every upload that you get on YouTube, nobody watches it up front, every missed sale, every ghost DM, I didn't just move on. I wrote it down. I wrote down what I learned in that moment. So the things that I did, what was consistent for me to get those results right there? Because when I started having breakout videos, things that were different from my normal posts, I looked at it. I looked at what I used to do to what's now working. Because if I didn't learn from the lesson prior to, and I didn't learn immediately, I wouldn't have gotten that success and gotten those sales that came with that lesson. Top 3 lessons every time. So that one habit cutting my learning curve in half, meaning the time that it takes for me to go from not knowing to actually learning and mastering a thing, if you just cut that time in half, you you would actually see that same level of success and you will see that same level of growth in your finances, in your life, in your business. You'll see it much quicker because the faster you reflect, the faster you refine. When you refine faster, guess what? It don't take 6 months to do a thing. If you failed today and you took that failure as feedback tomorrow, the time that it would have took you beforehand would have been 6 months. But if you learned from that lesson, it only takes you 24 hours. If you got back up and said, okay, I see what happened here. Now let me learn. And let's be honest, in God's hands, reflection becomes revelation. Your reflection to the feedback becomes your new revelation. And now you can't unlearn that thing. You can't unlearn it. This is something that's going to stick with you. And this is something that you can actually help other people do as well. You can speed up their process because you would want somebody to do the same thing for you. That's why I help my mentees, my clients, I help them in such a way to where we close the gap from knowing who you are and actually being a person of influence. We close the gap. So one of my clients, she literally started back in December. I want to say she started back in December. And right now, the way that she's growing on YouTube, man, it's phenomenal because every lesson that comes in her way, she takes it as feedback and not as actual failure. Number 3, move strategically and not emotionally. You have to move strategically and not emotionally. Before I was busy but not building. Like I was building. No, I said that wrong. Beforehand, beforehand, I was busy, but I wasn't building. I was hustling, but I wasn't hearing. All right. I was doing all the things. But when I started applying what I learned instead of reacting emotionally with all my feelings on my sleeve, I started thinking strategically. That's when I saw movement. I didn't get in my feelings. I got out of them. So that way I can see things clearly for what it is. Because let's be honest, your emotions cloud your judgment. So what was supposed to take 6 months, I applied it in 7 days. I took what I learned from 6 months of delay in a previous season and applied it in 7 days with strategy and obedience. And that's when I can make $2,651 in 3 days and 2,500 and something dollars in 7 days or less than 30 days. That's when my breakthrough came. I saw my success growing because I turned that failure into feedback and refinement, learning how not to do a thing. When you learn that your failure is just a stepping stone to get you closer to your success, you're going to want to fail and fail fast. And when you fail fast, you're going to learn from the experience of those of the feedback. So yeah, I failed my way into success, but truth is, I was never failing. I was finna say I was never not failing, but the truth is I was never failing. I was being formed. When you believe all work works, as Myron Golden said, even the mistakes become movement. You'll start looking at your life different and you're gonna be like, okay, I remember what Marion said. This right here ain't failure. This is just feedback and refinement. So that way, maybe, and just maybe, the failure won't be the end. This feedback is going to put me in a place to where this actually becomes my shortcut. So think about it. What areas in your life have you looked at it as failure, but you need to reframe it as feedback? You need to take the emotions out of it and learn the lessons that need to be learned in that moment. So that way you won't spend 6 months to a year planning certain things. You will go out and take action so that way you can fail fast and learn from those mistakes. So that way you can see success faster. And if this video blessed you, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you click the link down below if you want to join the masterclass. And until the next video, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.